You see, I ain't got no intro. I don't have my little things up there. I look. This make me not want to do this no more again. Okay, thank you for coming back. Yes, I know. I apologize. I didn't have no sound before. So, okay, we back up on YouTube. Hopefully, I didn't lose you guys. Look, and there was so many people chatting in the chat, and I couldn't even see it because the thing is so small. Okay, all right. All right, well, let's get started. I'm not gonna sit here and take forever. Hopefully, people can hear me. Maybe let me go and see if I can hear myself. Maybe that's what I should have did. Um, it says I'm live, but then I don't see it. Okay. Okay. Looks like it's working now. All right, so we back up on YouTube. We gonna start over Instagram. I'm so sorry, but nobody heard nothing. All right, so we're gonna get straight into it because y'all know I ain't got much time. So, here's the article. Notoriously fraudulent NY health program lost $1.2 billion to scammers and middlemen. Minnesota multiplied by 10. Taking advantage of a generous New York State program to his ailing mother, Bilal Hussein signed up a dozen family members to work as her caregivers. Over 6 years, they were paid $348,000 to look after the elderly woman at a Manhattan apartment. Except the mom was in Bangladesh the entire time. This is a problem. You're going to sit here. How come nobody checked her doctor's appointments to make sure that she was making her doctor's appointments? I understand that that person coming in to check and verify if she was in fact the actual person, can't really check and see if she's a woman or not. But the doctor would know if the patient changes from a man to a woman. So how come this wasn't checked out? Like, because the person is supposed to be taking them to their doctor's appointments. So how come this wasn't checked together? Okay, this is my question. Except the one was in Bangladesh the entire time. Incredibly, Hussein got away with the fraud by having his brother pose as their sick mother whenever inspectors showed up. Showed up before finally being caught. He was later sentenced to grand larceny, according to prosecutors. Where is the money? Did he send the money back? That's what I want to know. Where is the money? It's just one egregious example of a welfare program called Consumer Directed Personal Assistance Program, or CDPAP, that has cost New York taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars to waste and fraud. Hundreds of millions of dollars. So as they're focusing on Minnesota, I want to make sure that this article does not get buried under the rug. That's why I'm here trying to fight through all of these challenges to read this article, because I feel like they are sweeping this under the rug. They want to act like it is all in Minnesota, okay? But I knew for a fact that there was going to be some things uncovered here in New York. First set up in 1994, the program was intended to alleviate the number of elderly people going into nursing homes, but with no qualifications or medical certifications required to enroll as a career in that program. The program metastasized with little oversight. The Post was able to identify at least $179 million stolen by the program's recipients over the last 10 years, while the program wasted at least $1 billion of taxpayer cash on middlemen alone. So that's on top of it. $1 billion for the middlemen, and then $179 million for the recipient. So this is a problem, okay? Lawyer Richard Harrow prosecuted Medicaid fraud in New York for 27 years and now works in Albany, specializing in Medicaid fraud cases. If you think Minnesota is a big deal, multiply that by 10, and you can see that by $179 million plus the $1 billion, okay? The CDPAP is the biggest fraud there is because it all takes place in people's homes. Cost for the program itself has more than quadrupled. In 2019, the program spending was 2.5 billion, but by 2023, the program accounted for 9.1 billion of Medicaid spending. So I want y'all to keep in mind, right? So while they were wasting all of this money and throwing out money and flushing it down the toilet to these illegals, they were also wasting 179 million plus 1 billion. With 250,000 people enrolled to receive treatment and 400,000 caregiver personal assistance in the program's parlance. The State Department of Health admitted to the Post that this story that the program has led to a fiscal crisis. This is why New York don't have no money. So Kathy Hochul is sitting there beasting about $3, $2.90, and then going up to $3 for the MTA, but you spending 179 million and then 1 billion on fraud. And then how much money did you give to these illegals? And this is what I'm saying. But you sat there and you shot a man for $2.90 because he jumped the turnstile. You sat there, not only did you shoot and wound him, but you shot and killed an innocent bystander who actually paid their fare. Even Governor Kathy Hochul herself called it out and said it was one of the most abused programs in the history of New York in 2024, adding something has to give. By that time, she made promises of reform and took action to consolidate the program, but the program only expanded. So what actions did she take? She's sitting here lying about the actions. She took no actions, because if you took action, something would be happening. But under the action that she took, the program expanded. Okay. Now serving more than 280,000 patients, with costs continuing to climb. Annual spending, this is when they sit here and fake like they're doing something, but they really not. Annual spending by that New York State program skyrocketed to $12 billion in 2025, according to the Health and Human Services Secretary, Robert F. Kennedy. I was always worried about the high growth, that people would be taking advantage of the program that was not tightly controlled. Anything we as Black Americans try to do in this city is tightly controlled. But when it comes to 179 million and it comes to 1 billion, and you don't want to control it. When we sit here fighting for our reparations, they don't want to control it. They want to control it and tell us what we can and cannot get. They got to have a study. Where was the study? Where's the commission for this? You got a whole reparations commission that's going on for 2 freaking years, and there's no commission for this. You don't even have investigators. You're not even correlating who's getting the money against their doctor's appointments. And I'm not saying that you should be in the office with the doctor, but you should at least be looking at the bills. And this is why I had to come on here and read this article, because like I said, I feel like they are sweeping this under the rug, not on my watch. And that people will be taking advantage of the program that was not tightly controlled, said Bill Hammond, senior fellow for health policy at the Empire City for Public Policy, a nonpartisan think tank in Albany, told the Post. And that's exactly what happened in 3 cases prosecuted in the last 6 years. Zakiya Khan pleaded guilty to a sweeping scheme to bilk Medicaid out of $68 million in 2025. She was the owner of 2 Brooklyn-based adult care centers. I want you to think about how many of these cases are going to be in Brooklyn. A Brooklyn-based adult care centers who paid kickbacks and bribes to patients for services they billed for but were never provided in between 2017 and 2024, according to the Department of Justice. Khan and co-conspirators then I'm going to put the picture of Khan up on the screen here on YouTube. This is her right here. This is Khan. Well, you can already tell. Bangladesh, Khan. Now we see how she was able to sit here and lie all that long time, because Khan is overseeing it. Khan pleaded guilty to a sweeping scheme to bilk the Medicaid out of $68 million in 2025. She was the owner of two Brooklyn-based adult care centers who paid kickbacks and bribes to patients for services they had billed for but had never provided between 2017 and 2024. Khan and her co-conspirators then laundered the cash through other entities that they control, according to court documents. In 2023, another Brooklyn-based healthcare CEO, Mariana Levin, you hear that name, Levin, but see, the interesting part about Levin is they didn't put her picture up, was sentenced to 4.5 years in prison for defrauding Medicaid out of $100 million for home health care workers, court documents say. Between 2015 and December 2020, Medicaid reimbursed agencies Levin control, which claimed to provide personal care to residents living in New York and Nassau County. A significant portion of the billings were fraudulent, according to the DOJ. In 2019, Farah Rubani, the CEO of Hopeton Care in Brooklyn, another Brooklyn site, was indicted by the New York Attorney General for allegedly embezzling $11 million. Authorities claim she used the company to fleece the state health program by submitting false claims. Rubani and her police officer husband were also accused of using the cash to buy a $250,000 Bentley. You see what they doing with city money? And then you clock in my reparations? You better give me my goddamn money. A $250,000 Bentley, and then people want to talk about what we're gonna spend our reparations on. They sitting there defrauding the city out of money and buying Bentleys. I will buy anything I freaking want with my reparations, and you can't do a goddamn thing about it. And it don't matter what I spend it on. To buy a $250,000 Bentley and a lavish vacation home. Her husband was not charged with wrongdoing. The husband that's a police officer, you think he didn't know what was going on? Why wasn't he charged with the wrongdoing? So he gets to be out free and spend the money? As a result of the investigation, Attorney General froze Medicaid payments to Hopeton and all of Rubani's assets. And I'm sure they had some money squirreled away. Rubani, at the time of her indictment, denied the charges through her lawyer and was never criminally convicted. So she sat there. Y'all did this. Y'all had to. Why didn't y'all criminally convict this woman? Y'all criminally, you held Khalif Browder in lockup for 3 years with no witness and no guilty sentence. But y'all held him for 3 years. But this woman stole, I want to make sure, $11 million, and y'all don't convict her of anything. She gets to just be free. And let me keep going. Was never criminally convicted, but agreed to pay $148,000 in damages. So I want y'all to do the math on this, okay? Because I'm not that good at math. I'm gonna admit that. She stole $11 million. Okay. She gave back $148,000. She wasn't criminally convicted. Don't you think it was worth it? Do you think she learned a lesson? Do you think she will do it again? Because she got $11 million and only gave back $148,000. According to 2025 documents, a LinkedIn under Rubani's name suggests that she still works as a senior vice president of home health services, extended home care. Let me tell you something. When you Black, especially Black American, and you do something like this, don't they fire your Black behind? They fire us quick. And she's still working as a senior vice president with no conviction under her record. And like I said, she only gave back $148,000 out of $11 million. We're going to keep going. She could not be reached as senior vice president of the home health extended home care. She could not be reached for a lawyer. She could not be reached, and a lawyer who represented her said did not respond to the post request for comment. Of course they didn't. She taking her money and she running. At the in-home levels careers, who at the in-home level, careers who, as of 2026, are paid between $18.65 and $20.65 per hour, have been caught taking advantage of the system, sources confirm. They have been known to send bills claiming care for people while they were hospitalized after they were passed away, for treating two people at the same time, even though they were in different places. Healthcare sources told the Post, "We have identified several examples of personal assistants manipulating the system to work 23-hour days for family members with projected annual earnings of around $200,000." Now, I know people that have been denied the opportunity to take care of their parents. And these people not only were approved, but were defrauding the city. How come only the fraudulent people get approved? How come foundational Black Americans don't get approved to take care of their ailing parents who actually paid in the system? This woman, they said, was from Bangladesh, which means she ain't put one dime in this system. Not one dime. And her family get to embezzle $348,000 from the system. And there's people who legitimately need to be able to take care of their ailing parents that are having a hard time trying to work and take care of their parents at the same time. And you're denying that? This is why I had to come on here and read this article, because they're not sweeping this shit under the rug. Not on my watch. Healthcare sources told the Post that 23-hour workdays family members with projected annual incomes of around $200,000. Facilitators are also a huge problem. In 2024, New York State Attorney General Letitia James and the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York announced a settlement agreement with two Brooklyn-based home care agencies that worked as fiscal intermediaries, as a technical term for the middleman. Let me ask you a question. Did you guys know that when Letitia James brings a lawsuit, that money that she wins get to stay in her coffers? Did you know that? That money doesn't go back to the people that it was defrauded. That money doesn't go back to this system. That money goes to her coffers, and her office. So even when she is putting these cases on these people, that's her tax. She getting a piece of the pie because the money's not going back into the system. When she sues on behalf of the people, that money's not going back to the people. It's going to her office, to her staff, for her office to be able to spend how they see fit. So like I said, when this is her way of her skimming off the top. So don't let them fool you. Don't be fooled when she sit here talk about, oh, I'm bringing a case against this one, I'm bringing a case against that one, for your own office gain. Edison Healthcare and Preferred Home Healthcare Service settled more than $17 million for defrauding Medicaid and underpaying more than 25,000 home health aides. So she got $17 million for her office. They stole, I'm going to remind you, they stole $178 million plus $1 billion. Well, for the actual offices, they stole $1 billion. She got only $17 million back. That's her skimming a little off the top. Okay. And let's not even talk about the CNAs who didn't get paid. So you sitting here and you're paying people who's not even qualified to do the work, who's taking care of people who's not even in the country, and then you won't even pay the actual legit CNAs. By the time Hochul started reform in 2023, the state was paying middlemen for more than 600 companies, with costs reaching between $500 million and $1 billion that year alone. You hear these numbers? You hear these numbers? And Kathy Hochul is trying to squeeze every penny out of us. No wonder we need congestion pricing. No wonder we need to up the MTA. No freaking wonder, because they are letting people steal all the money. Some of these companies were charging an eye-watering $1,000 a month per person they represented, the Post can reveal, but doing little more than running the payroll. There were no standards for who could do it, no certification, Hammond said, referring to the middlemen. Anyone could set up one of these companies, and you know who's anybody but us. If we would have tried to set up one of these companies, we would be marched in handcuffs. Wouldn't be no, oh, give back $148,000 and no conviction, and you still get to keep your job as a senior vice president in the same industry as you stole the money from. And here's the thing: even why would a healthcare company want her to stay in the position when you know she was skimming money off the top? Wouldn't you want her out of there? But no, you don't want her out of there because you know that you want her to keep being able to fund your coffins. You're getting money off the top. You look at her as a job well done. There were no standards for who could do it, no certification, showing how bloated these charges were. Sources who have looked into them told the Post that the same work is now being done for over 93% less, at charges of $68. So they were charging $1,000, and now that they've did this investigation, now they're charging $68.50 a person. In response to the fraud and overspending, New York State replaced all companies acting as middlemen with a single company, Georgia-based public partnerships. We had to go all the way to Georgia to find somebody reputable. That's a goddamn shame. Ladies and gentlemen, send those /emails to these New York legislators about our reparations and about delineation and disaggregation, because this is ridiculous. bit.ly/Brooke call to actions. Send those emails. They are pre-written. You could do it right now. Please send those emails, because this is crazy. However, transferring to that system has been beset by problems hit with lawsuits by companies who have been cut out. So the companies the companies who are stealing, they got so much extra money, of course they could pay any kind of lawyers they want. They are now trying to sue so they can defraud the state some more. They said, no, we're not done. We're going to sue you to be able to continue doing this. This is crazy. Lawsuits of companies who have been cut out, and took until April 2025 to finally be put in place. So they just did this. They just fixed it. New York State Department of Health said they have already made significant savings and believe unifying the system under the PPL will result in lower costs. New York State took significant steps to reverse the CDPAP fiscal crisis by reining in administrative costs and establishing systems to eliminate opportunity for waste, fraud, and abuse, a spokesperson told the Post. But where is the money? How come you're not getting the money back? Fraudsters fought tooth and nail for over a decade to keep the old broken system in place. Of course they did, because it was financially beneficial for them to do so. But those days are over because we shut them down. The New York State Department of Health cut out hundreds of middlemen, saving $1 billion of taxpayer $1 billion to the taxpayers over the past year, and protecting home care for people who actually need it. Sources also pointed out what they called the $10 million dark money campaign, which was allegedly set up in an attempt to block the CDPAP reforms. The Medicaid Inspector General said it has identified more than $3.5 million in CDPAP overpayments between 2019 and 2024. Yo, why aren't there more people going to jail? This is what I don't understand. If this had been Black Americans doing this, they would be going to jail. Why aren't these people getting locked up? They getting slaps on the wrist, only returning $148,000 and returning to their job as a senior vice president. And this is why I had to read these articles. The Medicaid Inspector General the Medicaid Inspector General says it identified more than $3.5 million in overpayments. I forgot where I was at. A spokesperson for the PPL echoed the Department of Health statements, saying that their mandate was solely to protect Medicaid dollars. We have delivered meaningful accountability and long-term sustainability for CDPAP, ensuring this critical program remains visible for years to come. Okay, they said something very interesting, and I got a few more minutes, so we're going to get a chance to read the second article, okay? So they said something interesting. They said mystery donor. Hold on, let me read exactly what it said. They said sources also pointed to what they call a $10 million dark money campaign. That interests me. I wanted to know more about this $10 million dark money campaign. So let's read about it. Hold on. Let me change the article here. Let's see if it'll let me. Let's make me big. And let's see if I can do the other screen. What the heck? This is not the article. Okay. You know, there's always issues. Always. So let me go this one. Okay. So this is the one I want to read about the dark money. Share the screen. Okay. Mystery donor funds $10 million campaign against Hochul home health care plan. Governor Kathy Hochul is facing fierce opposition to her overhaul of a popular but pricey home care program that allows people with chronic medical issues to choose their own caregivers and pay them through Medicaid. The Alliance to Protect Home Care, a social welfare nonprofit, has blitzed the airways with TV ads alleging that Hochul's plan, which charges a single company with running the multi-billion-dollar program, puts lives at risk. The group spent about $10.6 million last year on a public relations campaign criticizing the move, the second highest spending lobbying campaign in Albany that year. It is unclear who exactly is bankrolling the alliance spending, and I call bullshit. Bullshit. You know how to follow the money. You know how to trace this money. And there's no way that $10.6 million can appear out of nowhere. You don't want to find out who it is. You don't want to find out. You don't want to prosecute. You don't want to name them. You don't want to name names. Find out who it is and stop feeding us this bullshit where this money just appeared out of nowhere. Liars. On the public relations campaign criticizing the move, the second highest spending lobbying campaign in Albany that year. But it is unclear who exactly is bankrolling Alliance's spending. That's because its donations are being routed through another nonprofit that was created on the same day as the Alliance. I call bullshit. Only the name of the nonprofit, not the individual donors, appears in the Alliance lobbying disclosure reports. Bullshit. According to those reports, the Alliance received about $11.7 million in donations between June and December. More than $10 million, or 90%, came from the separate nonprofit. Now, again, let's do some math, okay? That woman was accused of taking $11 million. Interesting number, right? Ain't that the same number that was said that they got here? $11 million. She only had to give back $148,000. And the total number that was stolen through fraud was $179 million. All they had to do was give up $11 million for this campaign here. And then the people who were defrauding, or who were the middlemen that were defrauding, they got $1 billion. All they had to do is spend 11 million of that for this campaign. And you mean to tell me you don't know where this money came from? Stop the lies. More than 10 million, or 90%, came from a separate nonprofit. The tactics could run afoul of the state lobbying rules. So this was done before, you know what I'm saying, they put into the office, they put into practice that Georgia-based company that's only charging $68. So this article was written before that, because I wanted to know where that money came from. Let's see. Basically, that's all, because I just wanted to show you about where that money came from. And I'm going to wrap it up now. Let me see. Yeah, I'm going to wrap it up now, because they're just going to continue to lie and say they don't know where the money is coming from, and they're full of shit. So, I'm going to try to do these little quick lives like this, because I don't have the kind of time that I used to have. So I'm going to try to do these little quick lives, but I really need you guys to send those emails, because you see what we up against here in New York. They have a unconstitutionally, they have a reparations commission that is going on right now. It is based on an unconstitutional bill. The let me make me big on YouTube. It is based on an unconstitutional bill. And the reason why the bill is unconstitutional is because it is race based. We already seen affirmative action get shut down. We already seen DEI get shut down. And so that's why that bill is disingenuous for them to even pass the bill to begin with, because President Devine of the U.S. Freedmen Project met with Assembly Member Salages. So if she's your Assembly member, she's full of shit too. So she met with Assembly Member Salages, letting her know that the bill was unconstitutional, that Eric Blum is waiting in the wind to knock it down. He met with Kathy Holcomb's legal team, which means they should understand constitutional law. But he did not. They still went forward and had that pomp and circumstance press conference where they all stood around that stupid desk of hers and signed this unconstitutional bill, knowing damn well that Ed Blunt is going to knock it down if they ever trying to bring anything from it. So we are playing defense and offense at the same time, right? So we playing defense with the commission that just got an extension and more money to keep going all the way up till January of 2027. So we're playing defense with them. We got a hearing on Saturday, as a matter of fact. And I have been taking donations to help pay for our travel to and from these hearings, and other little things that we have to pay for, like like postcards and paper and ink, and just little things like that. And even for us to eat when we go up to these places, I've been taking donations for that. My Cash App is $Bruck. So if you have it and you feel so inclined to do so, you can definitely donate to our travel and other little things that we need at $Bruck, right? That's my Cash App. But the most important thing is the emails, which are free. You don't have to spend any money to send those emails. And if you can't do nothing else, just send the emails. Like we need the emails. That's bit.ly/Bruck call to action. So you go to that link, and then once you go to that link, oh, you know what? Matter of fact, I can show it to you. Once you go to that link, then you can once you go to that link, then you can it'll take you to the other links for the emails, and it'll also take you to the links to the bills. You can see the bills. We are 100% transparent. Give me 1 second, because I can't talk and do this at the same time. Okay, I'm sorry. bit.ly/Bruck call to action. Okay. Share screen. Okay, so you see here at the top right here is the actual link, and then here is the U.S. Freedmen Project link. Or what? Let me go through the emails. Here's the U.S. Freedmen Project website. You can go there. You can contact them. That's their phone number. You can email them. You could when you go to the whatchamacallit, you can sign up for the newsletter. This is their Twitter page, and you could donate directly to the U.S. Freedmen Project as well. Now, like I said, I'm collecting money specifically for travel and tiny little things, but if you want to donate to the U.S. Freedmen Project, you can do that as well, right? And so these are the emails that we're sending out. As I was showing you, here is this is the bill that President Devine wrote with the U.S. Freedmen Project. That bill number is A5603, and then the unconstitutional bill is A7691, and this is the link for that, right? So the first email is gonna, like I said, we're the defense is what we're doing with the Reparations Commission. The offense is this constitutionally sound bill that we have that we're trying to get sponsors and co-sponsors for, right? So just said, so this is how you send the email. You click on this. It takes less than 20 seconds to send this email, and you're going to be sending it to all the legislators and asking them or demanding that they support our constitutionally sound bill and drop this farce of a reparations commission, right? And so the next emails are about disaggregation and delineation, right? So this goes into a little bit about what that is. And then so the second email is going to go to the Black Legislative Task Force. The link is right there. And then the third email is going to go to the New York legislators that have already signed on to do this for the MENA group and the AAPI. The AAPI are the Asians, and the Chinese don't want to be lumped in with the Japanese, and the Japanese don't want to be lumped in with the Thai, and so they want to be all separated, right? And then the MENA group is, I believe, they are the first group in U.S. history that want to delineate from being white. You can donate at $ my Cash App, which is $Brook. Okay, you can donate at $Brook, BREUCK, $BREUCK, right? And then if you want to donate to the U.S. Freedmen Project, you can go to the link here, and then that'll take you to the link to go to donate to them, and they are a nonprofit, so that the donations to them is a tax write-off, but donations to me is just donations to our travel. That will not be a tax write-off because I am not a nonprofit, right? So you just be sending me a little something so we could get to where we need to go to. Okay, so you're going to be sending that to the legislators that have already signed on to do that for the AAPI and the MENA. The MENA group are the Muslims. They no, I believe they are the first group in U.S. history that want to delineate from being white, right? From being white tea. And so they feel that after 9/11, they have been persecuted and they want their own set asides as a result of the persecution they feel that they have endured, right? So these legislators have already signed on to do it for them, so they should understand what it is and what it's about and do it for us too. And if they don't, they need to answer why they haven't or why they can't. And if they can't, then we're gonna sit there. That's a whole nother situation that I'm gonna come to you about. If these people decide that they don't, and they tell us with their full chest they don't want to do it for us, we're gonna have to make them answer as to why. Okay, so send these emails to these legislators. And the fourth email goes to Kathy Hochul, right? And because they need to get this done. So the great thing about this is that they have already passed the bills for the AAPI and the MENA group. However, they have not put it into practice. They have not changed any of the paperwork. They have not changed any computers. So the legislative session just started, right? January 7th. If we can get our bill passed before the end of this legislative session, then they can change all three at one time. And Kathy Hochul is mad cheap, right? She's trying to get every penny. She would charge us for air if she could. And so if we could get this passed before then Kathy Hochul, then she can change all three at one time. And that should appeal to her cheapness. Okay. And the last one is number 5. That is my own personal pet project. And that is because I have to sit there in all of these hearings and listen to them pay people to do presentations as they try to crowbar everybody into our reparations claim. So I would like them to pay our brother Andrew Barnes from Numbers USA, and you can see the link to his Instagram and see what he's all about. I would like them to pay our brother Andrew Barnes to come in and do a presentation on how immigration has hurt foundational Black Americans, right? And this presentation isn't just going to focus on melanated immigrants. This presentation is going to focus on immigration as a whole, from the Civil War till now. How they have always used immigration to push us to the back of the hiring line. And then as a result of being in the back of the hiring line, that pushes some people to a life of crime, some Black people to a life of crime in order to be able to eat. And then after you have been forced into a life of crime, then they incarcerate you and subject you to the prison industrial complex, which and then makes you a slave again. Because we all know that slavery is still legal, but under the prison system. So then what they're doing is, please watch the documentary. And this is a shameless plug to my close brother, Mark Batson, who scored the documentary called Alabama Solution. It is on HBO. You must see the documentary called The Alabama Solution. In that documentary, it talks about how they use these prisoners to work in the private sector. They are working at Burger King. They are working at Kentucky Fried Chicken. They are working at Wendy's. They are working in the Alabama State House. They are working at the zoo, at the Alabama Zoo. They are working in all of these positions. But then when it's time for them to come up for parole, then they're not approving them for parole. Why? Because they want that labor. So this is all immigration from its inception has always been used as a way to, in turn, this is a revelation that I received, one that drove me to tears, that immigration has always been used as a way to push us back into slavery by way of the prison industrial complex. And so I really want him to do a presentation based on that, because that is something that really matters. And since you got to pay people to do this anyway, so that's what this last email here is for. And then, we have, for those of us who did not vote for the Democratic Party, it's not enough that you just don't vote for the Democratic Party. Remove yourself from the registered non-party independent independent voter. That way the Democratic Party's numbers can be null and void. Because a picture that I shared, please take a look at my Instagram. It's on my Instagram. I'll put it up on YouTube as well. I'll put it in the shorts when I finish this. But a video that I shared about when I went to the New York Historical Society Museum with my big sis Keisha K. Fido on Thorough Black Talk. Oh, check me out on Thorough Black Talk every Thursday night. I'm gonna try to do better at like putting up the posting it the night right before we go live, so that y'all could be aware that I'm about to go live, because that's where you can see me more often. It's a little bit easier when I don't have to control everything and I get to be a guest, so check me out on Thorough Black Talk on YouTube every Thursday night at 8:00, right? So anyway, she took me and President Devine to the New York Historical Society, and there we saw the first Democratic ticket. And at the top of the Democratic ticket, it said no Negro equality. So the Democratic Party has always been about no Negro equality. So we as foundational Black Americans need to be aware of their history and what they have always been about. And so that is the end. I'm going to end it right there. And right here, this is the link to the actual website if you want to, see the .gov website, so you can see whatever, kind of updates and everything they have, right? So this is the website. So please, family, go to bit.ly/Bruck call to actions. We really need these emails. Like I said, it's here we go. Let's make this big, right? We really need these emails sent. because like I said, they have started their legislative session, and we need sponsors and co-sponsors for our bills. Uh, President Devine has some meetings set up. This makes his rough places smooth and crooked places straight, because they're already asking questions before he even gets in the door. You know, what is this delineation? What is this disaggregation I keep getting emails about? And so not only that, but it's also showing the ineffectiveness of these legacy organizations that who have been pretending that they were doing something. They're asking questions like, how come the NAACP isn't doing this? How come the oldest ethnic group on this land doesn't already have their own category? And so this is showing the ineffectiveness of them, and then that in turn is going to cost them money. It is showing that President Devine has the grassroots behind him. So please send these emails. It is showing the ineffectiveness, because you know I like to call them by their names. It is showing the ineffectiveness of the NAACP, of the National Action Network, of the December 12th movement, the IB-24, all of these organizations that have been in place that are trying to hold on. They want me to put it in chat. HTTPS :/bit. Oh, I didn't put slash. Okay, hopefully it actually doesn't show. Okay. I hope it shows it in the chat, because I don't know how sometimes Instagram be, or YouTube be doing stuff. Anyway, yeah. So I didn't put enough slashes. Hold on. Oh, it's gonna make me type it again. Sorry, the print is so small, and the screen is kind of far from me, so I can't see everything. HTTPS:/bit.ly. Look, I'm getting older, and my eyes ain't as good as they used to be, and they never was that great, to be honest with you. Okay, so bear with me. Y'all know I be trying. Okay, I got brains, not technical skills. Okay. All right. So hopefully, yes. Okay. That is an actual link. Okay. Yes. So it's showing the ineffectiveness of these legacy organizations that have never been for us, right? It is showing, because they're asking questions. How come they're not doing this? So, like I said, these politicians work for us. We tell them what to do. They don't tell us what to do. So send these emails. You know, we make jokes all the time about how white tea people, whenever they have like a little pothole in front of their house, they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna write a letter to my senator." That's what essentially what you're doing when you send these emails. You are writing a letter to our senators, and our assembly people, demanding that they do what we want. This is how you wield political power without even leaving your couch, without getting up off your behind. We're just going like this. This is how you wield. So all the emails are pre-written, so you don't have to worry about what to say and how to say it. We took care of all of that for you. It takes 20 seconds for each email. There are 5 emails. Please make sure you send all 5. And on that note, like I said, if you would like to donate, please donate. That is $Brooke. Hold on, I guess our HTTPS. Oh Lord, what is it doing now? Where is the chat? Goodness gracious. It is / Cash App. I think you do. $Brooke. Is that a $? Yeah, that's a $, but that is not a slash. There we go. I think it's cash.app. Is it cash.app? Lord have mercy. Anyway, my Cash App is $Brooke, right? And I'm going to see if I can put it in the... Let's see. Nope, that didn't work. Yes, okay. So I think it's cash.app. There we go. Okay, so I appreciate you guys. Like I said, this was going to be a short one. I'm going to just try to come on with, some short emails, not emails, short articles, because I don't have a lot of time, but there are some things that I've been seeing in the news that I feel that they've been covering up, and y'all know that not on my watch. That's the whole reason why I started this channel in the beginning, to begin with, is to read you guys news articles that they be hiding. So we will get back to the news, like I always have. And yeah, and that's it. So send those emails, and if you can donate, we would really appreciate it. If not, send those emails. Okay, that's the bottom line. Send the emails. That's bit.ly/Brooke call to action. All right, guys, I am out. Thank you so much for working with me and my inability to be doing these things correctly. I just appreciate all of y'all, and I'm out. Didn't I click end stream?